I'm here with Amanda Rose with Andros Kitchen and Bath Designs, and Amanda is my designer.
Hi, Susan.
We met probably in 2019, 2020, around then. It was before COVID.
Yes.
Amanda was working for someone else at the time, and she had drawn a kitchenette for me. And as I mentioned in a previous video, we've gone through this process many times. Like, I'd asked different people to spec things out. And Amanda was the most capable designer that I'd met in all the different years.
Thank you so much.
that I've been getting people to spec out the kitchen. And so this time around, when we decided that we're ready to do the kitchen, I had to hunt down Amanda, because she's now at Andros. And so we said, let's work together. And she came to my house and she took preliminary measurements.
Yes.
And she asked me for my wish list.
Yes. So with any project, including your own, I always start with the preliminary measure, just walls, windows, doors. I like going into people's homes because I like to see, one, how they live.
Yeah.
I like to open up cabinets, and a lot of people really don't like me doing that. But in order to get an idea of like the entire space and what we're trying to do, I gotta be nosy.
Yeah.
I gotta be nosy.
Yeah. And what did you find in my cabinets?
The big thing that hit me with you is that there was a lot of like bags, and there was a lot of like things that needed to be away that weren't away because it wasn't overly efficient storage. And again, like I think as you mentioned in your previous video, where the fridge was, it was just like a big speed bump in the middle of the room. So I just didn't think that, I was like, I can fix this.
Yes.
You know, that was my big thing. I was like, ooh, with any kitchen, my whole priority is I want to change your life, right? Like I want to change the way you do stuff. And whether it be from functionality or like, if it's outdated or whatever, I want people to like walk into their home and be like, I love this.
I think we're gonna get that.
Yeah,
me
too.
We're in the demo videos where we're ripping down everything. It's like we're not really starting from scratch. We're starting with constrained, and to me, that's better than starting from blue sky. You get better ideas.
I love homes with a soul.
Yeah.
I love homes that have like legit spaces. And the more compact kitchens are actually more of my favorite kitchens to design, because every inch matters.
Yeah.
You know, with the bigger kitchens, it's fun. Like do whatever, but that's just it. You can do whatever, and you know you're probably going to hit everything that's wanted.
Yeah.
In the smaller kitchens, design-wise, you have to be much more thoughtful on where things are going, the countertop space, and the storage. And that was one of your wish lists when I came in, which is why I came up with two designs, was storage versus countertop.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to make sure that you had that drawer storage, that you had that spice storage, that you had that pantry storage, comparatively, while giving you like a good amount of countertop space.
Yeah.
And then in the other one, it was, let's give you lots of countertop space, but maybe we have to be more creative.
We're getting a little ahead of
ourselves.
You were one of the people who didn't say, let's get rid of the wall between the kitchen and the dining room.
No, I mean, I have worked in that area for a number of years. And I believe in being authentic to like the homes. And although I do love an open concept, there are certain homes like yours that it's not conducive to get rid of that wall. Yeah. Your home has a kitchen and a formal dining room. And I have worked in homes where we absolutely have taken that wall down, but have sacrificed that formal, beautiful dining room to do that.
There are many kitchens in my area of town where they've gotten rid of that wall, or at least turned it into an island or something like that. And I really didn't want that. I had a big house in California, and it was a California Craftsman. So that's where I kind of learned to love the Craftsman style. And it was open concept. It was a great room, kitchen, dining, living, all one continuous space, no walls. And, you know, I was reading the magazines that this was the trend. This was what people were excited over. And by the end of it, it's like, I really didn't like it. And I didn't want that again.
Yeah.
So I have this house. We have about 800 square feet on the main floor, and we've got separate spaces, and there's doors between separate spaces, and we love it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in a home where it was more mid-century, but it definitely had an enclosed kitchen and a formal dining room and a living room. And much like yours, the living room and dining room without the doors, but they blended sort of together where there was a delineation, but they flowed into one another, and the kitchen was on its own. So having grown up like that, I always appreciate that. I appreciate that kind of design.
Yeah.
I loved our enclosed kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure my parents did too when we were doing formal meals.
We have a breakfast nook, and that's where we eat most of the time.
Yes.
And the dining room is a dining room when we need it, but most of the time we use it for crafts, activities, jigsaw puzzles, role-playing games, tabletop games, and so that's why we need to have the two spaces.
I love that.
So a lot of people said, oh yeah, just combine them and or get rid of one of the two spaces, and it was always no.
Well, it's a sacrifice to how you live, and that's the big thing for me when I'm designing for people. I think one of the first questions I asked you, if not all my clients, is like, what are your goals?
Yeah.
What do you use this space for?
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I can design a beautiful space based on the parameters that you give me, and you know how you use it.
Yeah.
So if I don't hit it, tell me.
Yeah.
And I think that for us, it was like a really good communication where you were very clear that that wall was to stay up. and I was like, then I'm going to make you a beautiful kitchen with that wall up.
Yeah. So the wall was going to say, what are some other things that I want? Oh, we cook in our kitchen.
Yes, you use your kitchen.
And in this process, I found out people don't cook in their kitchen.
No, so many kitchens are show kitchens. Like my kitchen's a show kitchen, you know? Like, I'm real good at at burner stuff, but like actual oven stuff, I'm out. So like I appreciate how that people need that. Again, another big thing for me, small kitchen and a cook.
Yeah.
Just one of my favorite things to design.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about, actually, let's finish off our wish list. So on the wish list was keeping the wall.
Yes.
Another thing that I said was toe kick drawers, because I saw a previous design of yours. It's just another way to jam in a little bit more storage into a small kitchen. Another thing I said was I'm not a big fan of glass throughout, although you've talked me around a little. We'll see that. What else?
Throughout. The main key word there was throughout.
Yes. And we were going to move the fridge.
Yes.
The rest I left up to you.
Yes. I think when I came in, you were kind of like, do whatever.
Yeah.
These are the things that I want to hit.
Yeah.
But I'm open to seeing whatever you have. And that's great.
Yeah.
The thing, your fridge didn't have a home other than where it ended up in my mind. When I walked in, I was like, oh, the fridge is moving, you know?
Yes, so. This is the most expensive fridge move ever.
Yes. The fridge relocation cost was very high on this one.
Okay, let's see the two designs that you...
Okay, so the first design I came up with was countertop concentrated. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to give you a lot more countertop storage because you do cook. Mm-hmm. You have small appliances that you wanted to use. There was coffee and tea drinkers in the home, like lots of things. So in my mind, I'm like, well, let's see how much small appliance storage we can get on here. The nice thing about both designs is that this wall stays the same.
Yeah.
So that probably was where I started.
Yeah. Was
the range wall.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Decision number one is to move, once you got the fridge over here was, we have the dishwasher and we have the range. Where are they going? And you made the decision to put the range over here.
Yeah, I did not want to obviously sacrifice the sink to not be in front of that window.
So you were one of the ones who said we must keep that window.
Yes.
So other people talked about getting rid of the window.
I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't convinced other clients to get rid of their window.
Yeah.
I've probably done it twice this year, you know, but I only do it out of necessity.
Yeah.
And I knew in your home, specific to that window, I could make it work.
Yeah.
There are other homes where absolutely no.
Yeah.
But in this case, based on moving the range over and where I knew the fridge was going to land, I knew that we could keep that window.
Yeah.
And it was a priority for me. I always like light in the kitchen. Your kitchen doesn't have a lot because of the wall staying up, because of the doors at the back, like the throughway doors. If I took out that window, all your natural light is gone.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of that.
And it fits with the aesthetic. We're going to talk about this later, but you know, we were trying to respect the style of the home. And when we talk about the finishes, there was a certain style that we're going after.
Yes.
You know, the Craftsman style, arts and crafts. And that fit right in.
Yes.
To be able to keep a really old, you know, Craftsman piece like that. It was a handcrafted,
leaded glass, beautiful window.
Yeah.
And I'm never a fan of like getting rid of those. And even like a few years ago with another client, she had a Blue Jay window. And she was just like, no, it has to go. Isn't it the ugliest thing you've ever seen? I was like, no. Because I love pieces like that. So
yeah, so one of the people that I've consulted in the past said, oh, that's a beautiful window. And I said, yeah, it's a beautiful window. We have to get rid of it. It's like, oh, okay. So they suggested putting it inside a frame and hanging it in the dining room. Which is not a bad idea.
That's a good use.
But it's better as a window.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And like there's flow through your house
Yeah.
because you do have the similar style windows in your stairwell.
Yeah.
And at the front as well too. So
that leaded glass is repeated through the doors in the dining room and living room, and they're repeated in the windows there too.
Yeah.
So it's a repeating theme.
Couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So again, the range well stays the same, so we'll get more into that afterwards. But what I did originally was I concentrated on countertop space.
Yeah.
Because that's what I wanted for design one.
So the fridge was here, and what ended up here?
We put in a pantry. I had a pantry there, just a small pullout.
Yeah.
Because I was like, ooh, like we're sacrificing some stuff.
Yeah.
Can we do a pullout pantry there? Because we had the space. In the end, because I had moved the dishwasher to an L shape, it freed up a little bit more space on this wall, because obviously the sink is an anchor point. It can't move. Centered on the window, that's where it is. So if we don't have a dishwasher here, that kind of allows for a little bit more of a pantry over there. In the end, when you and I discussed this one, the turn you thought would be another speed bump coming in from.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we finally.
So
we'll compare the two.
Sounds good.
And then we'll compare. And so just as an overview, this is a pantry. This is the fridge. I think you had the dishwasher.
Dishwasher was over there.
You had two cabinets here.
Yeah, so I have a drawer base here, and then two small cabinets on either side of the sink.
Yeah.
Both are pullouts. Just for different functions. So
and you had an upper here and another upper over here.
So I had a huge upper over here, which is, I was like, ooh, this will be good. But it's also, we discussed this where it's like primary, secondary, tertiary storage.
Yes.
And this cabinet in the corner would have been very tertiary based on some height restrictions in your home.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And then over here, this is where the microwave was, sitting above the counter and out a little bit.
Okay.
To me, this is primary storage.
Yes.
Because of where it's located.
Yeah.
So I when I was doing this one, I was like, ooh, I want to see if I can reconfigure this to have the microwave at a more height appropriate level for everybody in the home. Because having it up sometimes makes it hard.
Okay. So that's option one.
That was option one. And then option two. Again, the range wall stayed exactly the same, which was great. And then what I did in this one was I moved we removed the pantry, pushed the fridge to the side. We put in the drawer base, took the dishwasher off this wall. The sink remained centered on the window with the 2 flanking cabinets. And then I put in a microwave tower. So instead of having the pantry here, we relocated the pantry down here to have a drawer base below with a microwave at counter height and a wall cabinet above. And I think this gave more flow in. It gave more storage because now you had 2 drawer bases. And above the microwave, I saw that as more of a pantry space.
Yeah, so the trade-off, let's look at the 2.
Yeah.
And so the trade-off between them, this one would have been great counter space.
Yes.
And good storage.
Yes.
This would have been good storage and great storage and good counter space.
Yes.
Right. So that was you can't. It's a small kitchen. You can't have both.
Well, and I think great and good and good and great are good choices to have.
Exactly.
As opposed to okay and great or okay and okay.
Exactly.
There's a middle ground somewhere, and I left it up to you to decide where your priority was.
Yep. And so we actually decided fairly quickly, although we had a pretty detailed conversation about the considerations. We ultimately decided on this layout for a couple of reasons. Firstly, my husband's a big guy. He was worried about clipping this on his way through because you have to wiggle to get through that kitchen. Whereas this one, you don't have to wiggle as much. And also, there's the breakfast nook out here, and we have in mind for a future renovation that we would widen this doorway.
Right.
And so if we had decided on that one, that option would have gone away.
Yes.
And so basically the deciding factor was the big guy clipping the countertop at the end.
And that's a fair one. I think I said to you in our meeting, it's half a dozen one, six the other for me. I'm really happy with how both came out, and I saw advantages to both. I think for the first one, the countertop space as a cook, as a small appliance user, I was like, this is it, right? This is the one. But then when you explained to me, because your husband is a big man, and you do have a lot of things. I was like, this storage would work for you too. Right? So either way, I knew I was going to be pleased with your decision. Right?
Exactly. Can you talk about corners?
I can. I am not a fan of, obviously in this, I'm not a fan of corners. Obviously, I'm not a fan of corners, period, but I'll explain more. In design specifically here, I've deaded a corner, and I've had many a discussion with clients about deading a corner because although the accessories have gotten better, sometimes you have to sacrifice a corner to have better storage. The other discussion about corners that I have with clients most often are, can't we just do an angle for better flow? I don't like angles. I think you and I talked about that the first time where I was like, I don't like angled cabinets. I am a huge fan of maximum functionality followed by form. And the number one thing that when we're discussing kitchens, the number one thing that people say to me most often is, well, that's not what I have now. And my response is, if you want what you have now, why are you here? So there are certain idiosyncrasies of people that I totally will work with. For instance, right now my dishwasher's on the left and I need it to be on the left. If I can make that work for people, I always will. If it has to be on the right, it'll be on the right because there's no other thing. When it comes to corners, that is not an idiosyncrasy that I will accommodate. That is not something when people are like, but I have an angled cabinet. And I'm like, that's great. That's terrible storage though. I would rather do less shallow storage, which is a sharp corner, than an angled cabinet that is giving you not great storage. So when we were discussing this and it's a sharp corner here and you're like, I think someone's going to run into it, I respect that. So then obviously it has to be this one. Because there's not any way that I was ever going to put in an angled cabinet.
You didn't ask for the angled cabinet.
No, you didn't.
Like when you drew these lines, I had a reaction.
Yeah. There's not many things that there's not many hills I will die on when it comes to design. Angled cabinets is one of them for me. Yeah.
Let's see. And this cabinet back here, most people in our house would not have been able to get to it.
I would not be able to get to it.
Without climbing on the counter, and we ended up choosing a countertop that you can't climb on.
Yes. At most countertops, you should not climb on. Most, just to be fair.
We could get
for sure.
Old school,
For sure. But you shouldn't. But like but no, and like as another person who struggles with height, I know that for me, I'd be like, oh, okay, this cabinet's a cabinet where I'm going to put vases, or I'm going to put this, or I'm going to put that. For you, though, in your space, that's not a sacrifice in this kitchen. That if you had come back to me and been like, we're not doing it because of this, I would have completely understood, because that's a big sacrifice to make, to lose a cabinet to that corner.
So we decided on this, one straight wall. We decided not to do the turn.
So let's turn this
And
over.
after that, we had a couple of minor changes.
Yes. So we can go into, after that, I took it into AutoCAD because we had what we were doing, and I had taken a final measure by that point.
Yeah.
So we started in AutoCAD, and just to give an idea, so this was the range wall, which never changed. I think we just added some drawers on this wall to give you a little bit more storage on the side. We did a spice pull out, just kind of hid all the things that you needed, and kept the pantry. But this wall stayed relatively the same the entire time. It's when I drew this wall that I think you'll be able to talk about this, but you were able to see a little bit more what it was going to feel like to live in that space.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So drawing this wall, like we have your fridge, the 3 doors, the big drawers, your dishwasher, sink centered on the window, some nice pullouts. And in turn, we have like the toe kick drawer here. We have the toe kick drawer here, and then toe kick drawers obviously on these two sides too. I think that this is where you took this home and were able to really see.
And started to really
come together.
Exactly. Start to think through the details. Like
right.
So I took these plans home and I put them on the counter in the kitchen, and I went about my daily business in the kitchen. I would imagine, how would I do this in the new kitchen? And one of the things I found is that in this layout, there's no good place to put a dish rack.
Right.
It's like you have a flow where you take the dirty dishes, you wash them, and then you put them, to dry somewhere. And in this, you could either flow this way or you can flow that way, right? So, but if we flowed this way, we could put the dish rack here, but then there's no landing spot for the dishes.
Yes.
So, okay, if we flow the other way, this is the landing spot for the dishes, which makes sense because this is the dishwasher. You can put them in the dishwasher or you can wash them. But then once you've washed them, there's nowhere
where
to
the
put
clean
them.
dishes go. Yeah.
And so that led to one of the changes, which is we went to an under cabinet microwave, and this became, it wasn't a pantry. We pushed it back to a normal cupboard. And so then in that respect, it's a lot like what we have now.
Yes, except I think it just like where the appliances are now are more thoughtful.
Yes.
And now your microwave isn't sitting on the counter.
Yes.
So even though we lost a drawer,
yes,
you've reclaimed that counter space.
Yeah.
Which I think was more important, which was on the original.
That's right. So, I mean, the main drawback with having a microwave below counter height, I wanted that for a long time, especially when the kids were little. The kids are not little anymore, but it's still a good thing to have, is that my husband, the big guy, this microwave would be around his knees. And so we kind of thought about it and said, well, we ask him to get the things off the high shelves, and so when he needs to use the microwave, he can ask one of us little people to do it.
I think that is an excellent compromise. I'm a fan of that compromise. And I think that works.
Yeah.
And like you said, this is a working kitchen. This is a kitchen. So microwaving, I don't know how often it happens, but it can't be so often that it would be too terrible to use that microwave in the bottom there. Right?
I mean, the kids use it all the time. It's their primary cooking implement.
Understood.
I think there was one other change.
Yes.
Well, actually, there's two changes. One is this has not an apron front sink.
Nope, it does not, but it does now.
It does now. You were not a fan of apron front sinks.
I'm not a fan of apron front sinks. I think that they have their place. I think I enjoy a nice undermount for me personally.
Yeah.
And I have to be careful about that. Sometimes I don't want to put my preferences on my clients.
Yeah.
I do like to give full disclosure, and specifically with apron front sinks, I like to be very forward where I'm like, okay, here's the sinks that, like, if you're going to do a stainless steel, like, this is everything that you're looking at that's going to be the problem, right?
And you did that.
Yeah, and because I want you to have full disclosure. And we did have an honest conversation, and we've since decided to go with more of a steel granite sink, which I think is a little bit more durable when it comes to apron front. So it makes me feel more comfortable because, like, you're only doing this once.
Yeah. And my husband was also not that excited about having one big sink. He wanted like a sink and a half or two or something like that. And I thought about how we could make that work, and I had some ideas, and so he said, okay, that is, an option. But what settled it for me was that I've been looking at pictures of apron front sinks for so long, and I thought, I've wanted this for too long to not have it.
You gotta go for it then.
So we're having an apron front sink.
And that's the thing, like, as long as you are happy with it, then I'm happy with it. And like, my biggest thing is when people come in here and they're like, oh, what's the newest trend? What's in right now? I can't stand that question. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Let's talk about what you like.
Yeah.
So for me, when you were like, I really want this, I was like, then let's make it work.
Yeah.
Let's find you a sink that's going to last you the duration of this kitchen and your lifetime in this home. And I think that we have found a really good one. So like, I'm very happy with that. And I also think it's going to look really lovely in the concept and style of your kitchen.
We'll talk about the finish.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one more change was that you persuaded me to get a glass cabinet on this.
Yeah.
And how did you put it? You said, I like a little sparkle.
I do. I love a little sparkle. Like,
okay.
I think it needs some, it doesn't necessarily, like, we're not doing crystal, it's just glass. It's going to be lit. And I just think it's going to be, it delineates itself from the rest of the kitchen. I'm of the mind that not everything, everything can't be special. Like, nothing is special and everything is special. So it's always nice to have a little sparkle and a little something different that just catches your eye.
And what persuaded me to get that is that I'm a mixologist. And this would have been a really good cabinet to put the glasses and the different bottles of alcohol, and that would have been a showpiece for it.
And I am a fan of that. I'm all about showing that off. And my dream kitchen in my head, I also have a mixologist cabinet, but it's mostly just wine and corks. So
yeah, like I didn't want to put like just more plates in there, right?
No, I think, and that's the big thing with glass cabinets for me, is that it's thoughtful. There's a thought behind them. To say that you want glass just to have glass, in my mind, I'm like, well, what's going there? Are you neat? Can you keep that up? Same with like people. I'm not intimidated by a glass cabinet. I'm not intimidated by open shelves, because you curate those cabinets specifically.
And also, one of the reasons I didn't want a lot of glass is because it's a small kitchen. I wanted it to have a very consistent look. And this will come up again when we talk about the finishes.
Yes.
Right? You don't want too much. You just had to be a little bit restrained.
Yeah, just enough.
Yeah.
Just enough.
Is there anything else that
I don't think so.
I think those are the big things.
Those were the big things. So then we moved on, and I again moved into the next one, which was the next iteration, which is this one here. So again, nothing changed on the sorry, there was one change. You decided to do a chimney hood unit instead of the canopy cabinetry hood unit, which I actually really like, because even though we're doing a Craftsman style, which tends to be a little bit on the traditional side, I think that having this chimney hood unit kind of modernized it without going too far.
Yes.
Because it is a modern kitchen.
Yeah.
And I appreciate when there's little things. You have a stainless steel fridge.
Yes.
You don't want it to feel like an orphan in this space. And I think by adding in this more modern hood unit with your induction range, it blends those two elements really nicely together on that wall. That was one other change that we made.
Yeah.
But we'll go to this one. This is the final design that was done. So we have, what we did is we extended the countertop, put the microwave on the bottom. You still have that nice big pot drawer below the microwave. It gave you an extra storage up here. All of these cabinets come with light bases, so they'll all have under cabinet lighting, which will maximize all of your work area.
Yeah.
Which will be really nice for you. And then added the glass in here.
Yeah.
For the final design.
For the final design. And in a small number of weeks, we'll be able to walk through this.
Very small number of weeks.
So thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
For hosting me today in Andros Kitchens
always
and
a
Bath
pleasure.
Designs.
Yes.
And we'll have another follow-up episode.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you.